Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to do another game discussion video today, and this is one, let's see, what take is this? This might be take 7. I've been trying to do this video for weeks now. I've been doing other videos because I just can't seem to get this one right, so I'm just going to do this. This is going to be the last take. I'm going to do it, and it's going to be what it's going to be. And today's game discussion is Wild Arms. Now, the reason why I'm having such a hard time with Wild Arms is because while I really enjoyed the game, I kind of had a sort of schizophrenic sort of time with it. Because on the one hand, I was looking at this as a modern gamer, you know, my 29-year-old self, and I was finding a lot of things in it that just a lot of kind of, you know, nitpicky nonsense crap. And then finally, you know, I was just playing it, and I was like, you know what, I need to stop trying to analyze this game, and I just need to sit back and enjoy it. And then I sort of kind of regressed to my teenage self, and because, you know, that was important, because if I would have got this game when it first came out, I would have ate this shit up. And, you know, I would be sitting here talking to you about it with waves of nostalgia and talking about just how fantastic this game was. But, you know, so I'm kind of weighing those two things, because, you know, when you play these retro games nowadays, it was, you know, I don't know, it's just, you know, sometimes you can trick yourself into thinking it's not as good as it really is. So I'm glad I finally just said, you know what, I'm just going to play this and enjoy it and stop trying to analyze it. And I hope that this is the start of a fantastic series. I have all of the Wild Arms down there, and like the Suikodens, I'm slowly working through the entire series, and eventually I'll have them all done. So I beat this, you know, a few weeks ago, and so I'm not going to be able to talk too much about the storyline because I've started into Grandia 2 and I'm playing Tales of Eternity on the PSP. So I've kind of lost a lot of the details of the storyline. For the most part, I can tell you that I really enjoyed it. You know, as is the case with these Japanese RPGs, a lot of the times you the translation is a little off and you lose details of the story and things don't make sense. So there's always that, you know, but for the most part I really enjoyed Rudy, Jack, and Cecilia's journey in this game. And I have a little trouble remembering their names because I actually did something in this game that I haven't done for quite a long time. And, you know, back in the day when I played these RPGs, I would always change the characters' names, if it allowed me, to my name and my friends' names. So, you know, I was playing this and I was thinking, you know, this is an old RPG, retro. Why don't I do this retro style? So I changed, you know, Rudy was myself, Cecilia was my wife, and Jack was my best friend. So if I'm talking about the game and I have a hard time remembering their names, that's why, because, you know, I renamed the characters in the game. But, you know, Cecilia's journey for me was really kind of, I felt like I've seen it before, in that it's a princess who is kind of sequestered from the world, and as she's journeying with these other two dream chasers, you know, her eyes become open to this, you know, sort of grand adventure. So her story, it wasn't really until the end of the game after I beat it that I really did sort of enjoy her character. My favorite character in the game has to be Jack, because his story is so, I don't know, there's just something about it that really kind of resonated with me, where, you know, he's had this huge tragedy in his past and now he's kind of out for revenge / redemption. It's really, when you get to the end of the game and he's sort of, you know, fighting through his past, it really is a very kind of cathartic moment in the game, and I was really surprised with it. Rudy's journey, you know, he's kind of the silent protagonist in this game, and there's a twist that I'm not going to talk anything about, but let me just tell you, if you are unspoiled as to this twist, which I'm telling you guys, if you have any interest in playing Wild Arms, don't spoil yourself on the storyline, because you will not see Rudy's twist, and maybe a tryst, I don't know, but Rudy's twist coming from a mile away, and your jaw will just drop. You know, I didn't see it coming, so very fantastic stuff. The graphics, okay. Old school PS1 RPG. So the 2D, you know, overworld graphics when they're, you know, running around towns and in dungeons, I love that. I ate that shit up. I was fantastic. Then it went into the battles. I am not a huge fan of PS1, Sega Saturn 3D graphics. There's sort of a charming quality to it, but on the whole, I find that era, in terms of the 3D polygon graphics, to be the ugliest era ever. And that includes, you know, I'm not going to include the 2600, but that includes the NES. Like, you know, sprite graphics look amazing. You pop in an NES game, it still looks really good. Super Nintendo game looks fantastic. You start popping in some PlayStation 1 games and things get a little iffy, you know what I mean? So, while it was in 2D, I loved it. When it was in polygon graphics, I didn't really much care for it. But luckily that was only the battle system. So we'll see how Wild Arms 2 goes when I play it. I think it's about the same thing. But, what else? Gameplay-wise, the battle system I found to be kind of, you know, kind of simple but fun. I really enjoyed, you know, trying to build up my force attacks and utilize them as best as you can. One thing about the battle system in this, your buffs and debuffs are very important in this. So make sure that, you know, with Cecilia, you kind of buy her magic like you do in the early Final Fantasy games. So make sure you definitely get her, you know, buffs and debuffs to sort of, because speed down and armor down are musts. You must have those spells. They're just so useful. Overworld stuff, I really enjoyed, I'm going to put this down so I can move my hands. I really enjoyed how every now and then the 3 team members will split up and you have to control them and do puzzles as each member of the team. I wish the game utilized that more. I really enjoyed it in the beginning, and there's another dungeon that really used it extensively. And I kind of wish that was, you know, done more in the game, because I think it is a really cool aspect. I love the tools, even though some of the tools you really only used once. I'm looking at Rudy's roller skates and Jack's guitar. You know, those things you really only use once, whereas like the bombs and especially, oh, was it Harpin? His little rodent friend, and Jack's harpoon. You use those stuffs quite extensively, but some of the other things, you only use them about once. So, again, kind of underutilized, but then again, you know, when you have 4 tools per character, that's 12 tools total. You can't use them all the time, so there was that. Oh, I had something else, and I got stuck on those damn tools. Talked about the splitting it up, talked about... Oh, one thing I didn't like, and I don't like it in RPGs because I don't feel like I should have to have a guide in order to play the game. And not because the game is overly difficult, it's just sometimes the game does not tell you where you're supposed to go next. There was a time where I just beat something and it's like, okay, where do I go next? And I just tooled around for like 5 minutes, talking to everybody in the town, and finally I was like, alright, I gotta download a guide. So I went to GameFAQs and downloaded a guide, and you know, only used it when I had to. But you know, as it progressed on, it kind of was more often than not that I had to figure out where to go next due to a guide. So the in-game map is not as useful as I would want it to be. It kind of, I can't figure out like what it actually shows, because it shows you white dots, but those white dots aren't for every town in the game. So I don't know what exactly. Maybe I missed talking to somebody that put it on my map, but that, you know, that whole thing, I don't think I should have to buy. I enjoy buying strategy guides. Let's just put that out there. I like buying them, but I don't think I should have to use them every step of the journey to get through the game. And unfortunately with Wild Arms, I kind of felt that way, because I felt like I wasn't, you know, there's a certain thing where you don't want your hand held too much, but you need a little push every now and then to kind of know where you're supposed to go next. Otherwise, you're going to every town and you're getting frustrated because you have shelves and shelves of games to get through, and you just don't want to sit here and tool around trying to find out what you're supposed to do next. Another problem I had, which it might not be the game itself, it might be the fact that I'm playing on my PS2, and my PS2 is now 10 years old. the game froze up on me several times, and luckily I used every save point that came across my path. The disc, let me just double check here before I say something stupid. No, the disc is mint, so it's not a scratch on the disc. It might just be my PS2 being really, really old. It's probably getting ready to... But, so I haven't put it on my PS1 to double check it, but that you almost think that'd be worse because the PS1's older. But, so there's that. It froze up on me about 4 or 5 times, but luckily since I use save points so frequently, I only lost at most maybe an hour, at one point in time, which, at that point in time I just turned the power off and came back to it later. So that's kind of why it took me a while to get through. Other than that, guys, I think this is on PSN. So if you guys are looking for an old school RPG to play, I really recommend Wild Arms. It's a really nice retro RPG, a simple but fun RPG, and I kind of really miss this style. I mean, this generation, we don't have very many JRPGs to pick from. Most of them are on the handhelds, and they kind of replicate this style. But even playing like Tales of Eternia, Tales of Vesperia, and I'm trying to think what else came out. Well, there's a bunch of them out on the PS3, but it seems like they're trying to make RPGs. They're just packing them to the gills with things to try to compete with things like Skyrim, maybe. I know that Xenoblade was kind of made in reaction to Western RPGs becoming, popular. So, but there's a deep love inside of me of traditional JRPGs, and Wild Arms is a very nice, very pleasurable. That's a weird word. Very awesome old school RPG. One other thing I forgot, and this is what I was going to talk about earlier. The aesthetic to this game. I was really excited to play this game because I love Westerns. Once Upon a Time in the West it's easily in my top 10, possibly could break the top 5 of movies of all time. So when I found out that there were Western RPGs, not Western as in, us, but Western as in the Old West with, 6-shooters and everything like that, I was all for it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of Old West stuff in this, but this game's kind of a little bit of a misnomer in that there's definitely American Old West motif to it with the sort of the desertification of the planet, but there's also this kind of weird medieval European thing where there's castles, which if this was really a Western thing, wouldn't they be like wooden forts? That's nitpicking, of course, but and then as the game progresses, you get into a more of a sci-fi fantasy feel, so it does kind of lose that Western motif a bit. But every now and then you'll see people with cowboy hats on and covered wagons, and that's a girl named Calamity Jane. So you can't fold it too much. They did try to put a bit of the Western motif into it. Hopefully with Wild Arms 2, and I think definitely with Wild Arms 3. Looking at the box art, I think it definitely goes more Western. And I drop things in every video. I definitely think it goes more Western. And disc fall out. See if it's still mint. Yeah, it's still good. Oh Lord. Now you can see why this thing has taken me 7 tries to make. But I'm definitely looking forward to diving more into the series and seeing how it progresses, because that's what I'm really doing with this and Suikoden. I'm making sure I'm playing them in order so I can see the progression of the series, because it was easily, because the first Wild Arms game I bought was Wild Arms 4 because I found it at a GameStop for really cheap. So I picked that up, and it was very easy just to jump into that and then go back to them. But then I really wouldn't have appreciated this as much. I looked at this as kind of like a, the way we look at, oh, I can't even think of anything right now. The way we look at, the Game Boy in comparison to the 3DS. I know. Bad analogy because the Game Boy is awesome, but this is what happens when you don't script these things out. You have to think on the fly. But definitely looking forward to the rest of the series. I definitely recommend you guys to at least check it out. I don't know. I can't remember how much I paid for this. I don't think it was any more than $20. So affordable. I think it's on PSN. Don't quote me on that. Go on there and look. I know they have a lot of old school PlayStation 1 RPGs. So if you guys want to try some of these games out without having to pay like the huge price that, you know, people pay for these things, go on PSN, just download them on your PS3 and relive some old classic games because, you know, especially with RPGs right now, we're really living in a can't think of the word. We're really living in a drought, there we go, of JRPGs. So go back, play the old ones, and, you know, give them the time that they deserve. So that's finally the Wild Arms video is done. So I've been putting up way too many videos here recently, so I'm going to let the YouTube channel rest for maybe a week before I put up something else. I'm getting ready to start. I'm actually on my vacation from work. I finally started getting vacation time at work, so I promptly put in for some vacation time. So I'm going to be, I don't have the game case in front of me, but I'm going to be finishing up Grandia 2 on the Dreamcast, and then I'm going to be jumping right into Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga for the PS2. So those game discussion videos will hopefully be out quicker than this thing was. Other than that, if anything, the mood sort of takes me. Like I said, I kind of want to do a Babylon 5 video, but I'm kind of thinking about it before I just jump right into it, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about Babylon 5. It's a pretty dense show. Other than that, just put up my game room tour. So if you are a new viewer to the channel, that was my 100 subscriber thing. So go check that out. You can see all around me instead of just the bookshelves back there. And then there's a bunch of other stuff on my channel, so if you're a new viewer, go check it out. If you're an old viewer, I thank you for watching. I thank you for subscribing. I gotta stop this video because I'm getting tongue-tied. So, you know, I'll put up something here soon. And once again, thanks for watching. You guys take it easy.